Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for holding today's hearing. Good morning, everyone, and I'm always in awe when the Dean of the House, Mr. John Dingo, is present in any room, one of our very strong conservationists in Congress, and welcome, Mr. Congressman Dingo. Today we will hear testimony on 4 bills related to programs that the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service administers, including the Migratory Bird Treaty Act, the National Wildlife Refuge System, and the National Fish Hatchery System. Some of these bills are well-intentioned, but I cannot help but notice that some of them are also at odds with each other, both in practice and in principle. I am happy to see we will be considering H.R. 5069, Chairman Fleming's bill, to authorize an increase in the price of the federal dock stamp from $15 to $25. Revenue from dock stamps provide funding for the purchase and conservation of wetland habitats critical to maintaining healthy populations of waterfowl and other wildlife. This increase is long overdue. And while I do not support the provision of the bill that would prohibit the additional funds from being used for fee simple purchase of land, I hope we can work together with the Senate to make a version of this bill law by the end of this Congress. High hopes, working with the Senate. Ironically, while H.R. 5069 seeks to increase habitat for ducks, geese, and other waterfowl prized by hunters, bird watchers, and other outdoor enthusiasts, H.R. 3409 seeks to limit it. This bill would eliminate the Fish and Wildlife Service's authority to add lands to our National Wildlife Refuge System, requiring instead that each refuge expansion be approved by an act of Congress. When you consider that 98% of dock stamp dollars are currently spent on adding land to the National Wildlife Refuge, it is hard to imagine how someone could support both bills. Together, H.R. 5069 and H.R. 3409 would create a mandate to increase funding for the conservation of wetlands essential to the survival and recovery of waterfowl, while at the same time prohibiting the service from actually using it. Wildlife refuges provide immense benefits to all Americans, particularly those who hunt, fish, and otherwise enjoy the outdoors. In 2013, recreation in the refuge system generated $2.4 billion in sales and economic output, created 35,000 new U.S. jobs, and $793 million in employment income, which contributed more than $342 million in tax revenue. And all these benefits were gained from a refuge system which occupies less than 1% of the land area of the contiguous United States. By comparison, almost 2% of our land area is leased for exploitation of oil and gas reserves, and nearly 9% is leased for livestock grazing. The logic of H.R. 3409 suggests that every new mineral lease or grazing allotment should also require congressional approval, a restriction we can all agree would be as unpopular as it is impractical. Meanwhile, H.R. 5026 would actually require the service to continue funding programs within the National Fish Hatchery System because of the recreational and economic benefits they provide to local communities. Wildlife refuges provide an even larger jolt to local and regional economies, in addition to supporting $32 billion in ecosystem services like water filtration, fish and wildlife protection, and carbon sequestration. Yet somehow, spending money on the refuge system is too much government for some. I would hope that those members who support government-subsidized rearing of non-native fish will also support investments in wildlife refuge. Finally, H.R. 3109 seeks to provide an exemption to the Migratory Bird Treaty Act for Alaskan native handicrafts. The exemption appears consistent with other important conservation laws, but also I realize we have treaty obligations that may complicate matters. I look forward to hearing from my witnesses about that and the other bills for us today, and I really look forward to having Chairman Fleming join me on the small island of Saipan very soon. Thank you very much and good morning.